students, we are going to have a presentation on how we tackle the English segment of the competitive exams through a unique way devised by ICD. Here we are going to discuss two types of questions which are ubiquitous. They occur for almost every exam, and they are related to grammar, and then we do a question related to para jumble for every exam, whether it is a bank exam or the staff selection exams or a various type of exams. You get questions based on para jumble. It is intended to examine your capacity for comprehension. If you want to put a paragraph in an order, in its chronological order, you have to understand it fully. You have to understand the subject matter, and then you have to know that ideas in a paragraph progress in a systematic way. The second one will follow the first one, and the third one will follow the second one. The first cannot be followed by the fourth, because the idea contained in the fourth may be far-fetched and may not bear any relationship to the idea contained in paragraph in the first sentence. So it is a very interesting question to do. Not only that, it is going to be your jackpot for the exam, because it enables you to score marks by reading very little. If you have to answer a comprehension passage, you have to read the entire paragraph, entire passage. There may be 2 or 3 or even 4 paragraphs, you have to read everything, and then only will you be able to get the marks. But here all you have is 4 or 5 sentences, read the 4 or 5 sentences, and then you can get the marks. There are two types of questions in the staff selection exams usually, and for the bank exams also. There may be a paragraph, and they will arrange it in 4 ways, and 4 options will be given. You have to pick out the best one. Now let us go to the questions. Please go through the instructions. One important point you have to notice: when you attempt a question, the instruction has to be clearly understood. It may be very long, but it doesn't matter. You have to read it carefully. You have to go through it in a focused manner. Only then will you be able to answer the question correctly. Now there are different types of questions, and for you to answer exactly, it is imperative that you read the instruction well. So here it is, error detection. First one, the actor who plays a detective. Which actor? The actor who plays a detective. The boy who lives next door. This is quite frequently heard in the same manner. The actor who plays a detective, that is quite common. There is no mistake in it. Detective where in the film, it's a phrase. Alleged, to have pushed the director. So if you want to get the main idea, it is the actor alleged to have pushed the director. But here one important thing is missing. What is that? It is the verb. Alleged is not the verb, it is the past participle form. Every verb has 3 forms: drive, drove, driven. Eat, ate, eaten. saw, see, saw, seen. Write, wrote, written. Alleged, alleged, alleged. First is the present tense, allege. Second, alleged is the past tense, and the third is the past participle. It is not the verb, it is the infinitive form of the verb. So to make it the verb, it has to be followed by its, preceded by its auxiliary. So you say, the actor is alleged. The boy was punished. You don't say the boy punished. The boy promoted is wrong. The boy was promoted. If it is the present tense, the boy is promoted. In the same manner, the actor is alleged. To have pushed the director, when he asked him, what did he ask him? To get into his costume. Why? As it was getting late. So, to get a better understanding, let us break up the sentence and determine the clauses, subordinate clause and principal clause, and the phrases. The actor is alleged. Principal clause. Who plays a detective? Subordinate clause. The subject of this who is actor. In the film, it's a propositional phrase. To have pushed the director, another phrase. When he asked him, subordinate clause. To get into, to get, infinitive. Into his costume, another propositional phrase. As it was getting late, another subordinate clause. So I suppose you got the structure right. The error is in the part 2. It has to be the actor who plays a detective in the film is alleged to have. Now the second one, Manish was advised an operation. This structure is quite common. I will give another example. Anil was given a question. Quite common. Sanjay was gifted a computer. Gopal was selected to the team. All these are correct. So this is also correct. Manish was advised an operation. When? More than 30 years back. From now, you go back by 30 years. And at that time, he was advised the operation. But due to his financial condition, due to his means, because of his financial condition, it is quite possible he could not undergo. This is the verb, could not undergo. Could is the auxiliary, not is the negative, and the auxiliary will go with the normal form of the verb, which is undergo and not undergoes or underwent. You will never say he could not saw or he could not seen. You will only say he could not see. He could not know, not he could not knew or he could not known. He did not come. You don't say he did not came or he did not comes. You only say he did not come. It may not rain. It is not, it may not rained or it may not rains. In the same manner it is, he could not undergo. What is the rule there? The auxiliary will be followed by the normal form of the verb, which is undergo and not undergoes or underwent or undergone. So the correct answer is could not undergo the procedure. I hope it's clear. Now the third one. India's largest corporate house may be forced. Here we have the passive voice. We have the passive voice. I will give an example. The teacher may teach English. May teach is the active form. But if you were to put the passive form, English may be taught by the teacher. What is the active form? The teacher may teach English. What is the passive form? English may be taught. In the same manner, may be forced, may be studied, may be forced, may be discussed, not discussed, may be discussed. So may be is the passive form, and for the passive voice you have to use the V3 form or the past participle, which is forced. So it is may be forced. India's largest corporate house may be forced. But there is a principal clause, main idea, to review the selection parameters. Infinitive phrase, after struggling, another phrase, to shortlist potential candidates. Another phrase, for the past 8 months, another phrase. So where does the error lie? The error lies in part 2. It is may be forced to review. I hope it's clear. Now the fourth one. This questions, it is quite obvious. Questions is plural, verb is force, that is also plural. So here this demonstrative pronoun must also be in the plural form. So it should be these. If it is question, then it is this. But here it is questions, which is plural. So definitely it will be preceded by the plural form of the demonstrative pronoun. This is plural these. That, the plural is those. All these are demonstrative pronouns. You demonstrate or show. So here questions being plural, this must also be plural. And what is the plural of this? It is these. So the correct answer is these questions force us. Principal clause. What do they force us? To face the unpleasant truth. Infinitive phrase. That the policies of social justice have reached a dead end. That the policies have reached a dead end. Subordinate clause. That is the conjunction. Policies is a subject. Have reached is the verb, present perfect tense. Policies is plural. Have is also plural. So concord is okay. Have reached a dead end. Of social justice is a phrase. It begins in the proportion of, so it is a proportional phrase. So that is a structure. And where does the error lie? The error is quite simple. It is, the reason is concord. The error is related to concord or the agreement between the subject and the verb in number. Here the subject is this questions. That itself is wrong. Questions is plural. So the word that describes it or that demonstrative adjective that describes it must also be plural, that is these. So you have to say these questions. Now the last question of that type. Many of the young people studying abroad. Common structure. I will give another example. Many of the boys playing cricket. You have seen it, you have heard it. It is nothing abnormal. It is perfectly in conformance with the accepted structural forms. Many of the young people studying abroad, no problem. To prove it, I shall give other structures. Many of the schools preparing students for entrance. Many of the officers working here. Many of the officers working here. That is common. So there is no problem here. Many of the young people studying abroad agreed that. What did they agree? That returning home, the act of coming home, was always an attractive option. Many of the young people agreed. Principal clause. Studying abroad, participle phrase. The studying is the present participle. Study is the verb, and the incomplete form of it is studying or to study. So it is the present participle. And as it is not a verb, in fact the infinitive, in this case it is the present participle. The infinitive is a derivative of the verb study. So studying abroad. In fact, there are two methods of learning. One is the pure grammar method using Wren and Martin standard grammar book, and the other is learning grammar practically. As a person who has trained many students through ICD for competitive exams, I recommend you to learn grammar in a practical way, because that is quite easy and it consumes very little time. If you were to learn from Wren and Martin, your knowledge of grammar would be all encompassing. Your knowledge of grammar would be all inclusive. But at the same time, it may not be fruitful, because considering the time you invest, the returns you get may be very little. You may have 6 months or 7 months, and during that time you have to master mathematics, you have to master reasoning, you have to master English, and you have to be conversant with contemporary news items. So your time will be consumed. So what is a better way? Rather than learning grammar in the traditional way using traditional textbooks, it would be better to learn practically. And I or we at ICD discuss English or English grammar in a practical way. What we do is we convince you about the correctness of a structure by replicating it. We will introduce many other structures that you have heard before. We will introduce many other structures that you have heard before. And you will be convinced that if what you have heard is true, then this also should be true. That is our methodology. That is the ICD way. Many of the young people studying abroad, this structure is quite frequent, as I told you earlier. Many of the students preparing for the exam. So this is the present participle, and this combination is a participle phrase. That returning home was always an attractive option. That is a subordinate clause. The subject is this combination of returning home, the act of coming back. So here this sentence is perfect. There is no error. It has good meaning and everything is precise. Now we come to our next type. This is very important from the examination point of view. From the marks point of view, this is really important. Now let us see how we arrange a paragraph. Here there are 6 sentences. The first and the sixth are in the correct order, and 4 sentences A, B, C, D are given desultorily. D-E-S-U-L-T-O-R-I-L-Y. What is the meaning of desultory? Means in improper order. If something is not given in the correct chronological order, it is said to be desultory. So the 4 sentences coming in between, denoted as A, B, C and D, are jumbled up, and 4 options are given. You have to check with the options. In these types of questions, I would recommend that you proceed from the options. And what is the logic here? The logic is that sentences that come near, or the sentences that are co-located, must be related. That is, the first sentence should be related to the second one, and the second to the third one, the third to the fourth one, so on and so forth. The first and fourth cannot come together because the two ideas are entirely different. Or the fourth sentence, the idea contained in the fourth sentence may be entirely far-fetched in relation to the idea contained in the fourth sentence. It is like ascending a flight of steps. Suppose you want to go from the third floor to the fourth floor. There is a flight of steps. How do you ascend the steps? If you don't want to fall, you will ascend the steps in the ascending order, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. If you directly go from 1 to 4, you may tumble. But if you go from 1 to 2, you would not lose your balance. In the same manner, when we rearrange a paragraph, the sentences have to be closely related. 1 and 2 will bear a relationship in the sense that 2 will follow 1. That is the logic behind this. Now let us check out here. Look at the first sentence. Chichen Itza, last outpost of the Mayan civilization, was built in the heat of the arid Yucatan Peninsula, unlike most of the earlier Mayan cities which were built in rainforests. Now a bit of facts. What is a Mayan civilization? In fact, if you look at the history of the world, there are a few very ancient civilizations. Our Indian civilization is one such. We are very proud Indians, and we are very proud to note that our Indian civilization is one of the earliest. And another facet of the Indian civilization is that despite all the other contemporary civilizations fading away, Indian civilization continues to live on. Now we have a 5,000-year-old cultural continuum. That is not only rare, that is the only instance of a primordial civilization continuing up to the present time. It is not common. There was a Roman civilization, Greek civilization, Babylonian, Mesopotamian, all of them have faded away. All of them have departed into the annals of history. But what about the Indian civilization? It goes on. Mayan civilization was another one. Similarly, you call the Aztecs of Mexico. That was another ancient civilization. We speak about the Mayan civilization. And the last outpost or the boundary area of Mayan civilization was a place called Chichen Itza. It was built in the heat of the arid Yucatan Peninsula. Arid means desertified, made into a desert because of lack of water. It was a place without adequate water. This Mayan place was built in the hot, arid or desertified Yucatan Peninsula. Unlike most of the earlier Mayan cities, all the other Mayan cities were built in rainforests which had enough water. All the other Mayan cities had no scarcity of water, but this Chichen Itza was built in the desertified Yucatan Peninsula. That is the first sentence. So the second sentence must definitely follow it. Let us check out D. So we have to have in mind the first sentence. What is the first sentence? Chichen Itza was built in the arid region, unlike other Mayan cities. If you take option number 1, it begins in D. It got its water from two wells known as cenotes fed by underwater streams. Can you find a commonality between the two? What does it stand for? It stands for Chichen Itza. So there is a connection, there is a correlation between 1 and 2. The 2 is D. It means Chichen Itza, it's water from the previous sentence it was said that Chichen Itza was built in the desert region. So here we say it got its water from two wells known as cenotes fed by underwater streams. Now the second is C. Look at C. The city means Chichen Itza drank from one well. What was the previous sentence? There were two wells. So what follows it? They drank from one well and used the other well as a well of sacrifice. Now that is followed by B. In times of crisis, a maiden was hurled means thrown, at dawn into the 60 feet deep hole in the limestone rock. That is the next idea. That is logical. And what follows is A. If she is who is she? The virgin. The maiden. The maiden was thrown, and this maiden is represented by she. If the maiden survived in the dark water until midday, priests hauled means pulled her out to ask what the gods had told her. Now what follows? The Mayans also threw the cherished possessions. The previous sentences speak of the Mayans throwing the girl down the well. And the last sentence shows the Mayans also threw cherished possessions into the whole carved jade, gold nodules of resin used as incense, copper discs, and human skeletons have all been dredged out of it. Dredged means filtered out. So this is quite logical. The opening sentence speaks of Chichen Itza, which was built in the desert area, unlike other areas which were built in water-rich surroundings. What does the second sentence say? D. It means Itza got its water from the two wells. What does the next one? C say the falls drawn from one well. Two wells were mentioned in the previous sentence. Now the third sentence says they drank from one well and used the other as a sacrifice. What did their sacrifice be? In times of crisis, a maiden was hurled means thrown at dawn into the 60 feet deep hole in the limestone rock. How does it follow? If she is the woman, maiden was thrown. So naturally there is a connection between 3 and 4. If she survived in the dark water until midday, priests hauled her out to ask what the gods had told her. And naturally the paragraph concludes with the sixth sentence. The Mayans also threw cherished possessions into the hole, carved jade, gold nodules of resin used as incense, copper discs, and human skeletons have all been dredged out of it. How do you know that all these things were thrown into it? Subsequently, they have been pulled out of it. So the correct answer is option number 1. With a little bit of practice, you can do this very easily. Now the next one. Look at the first sentence. All human beings are aware of the existence of a power greater than that of the mortals. Mortals means human beings like us. All people are aware that a higher power exists. The name given to such a power by individuals is an outcome of birth, education, and choice. The name varies. Now, for the sake of easiness, let us check B. What does the first sentence say? All human beings are aware of the existence of a power greater than that of the mortals. Look at B. Industrial organizations also contribute to the veneration of this power by participating in activities such as religious ceremonies and festivities organized by the employees. What is this power? This power is the greater power already mentioned in the first sentence. That is the link between 1 and 2. Now comes C. There. There means industrial organizations. That is the link between 2 and 3. There means industrial organizations, other philanthropic contributions. Philanthropic means charitable. Contributions include the construction and maintenance of religious places such as temples or gurudwaras. Now the next is A. This power provides an anchor. Another idea, another facet of that superior power is given. This power provides an anchor. What is an anchor? Support in times of adversity. Adversity means unfavorable situation, difficulty and trouble. Now what does it follow? D. Logically, therefore, what does the previous sentence say? This power provides anchor in times of adversity. It helps us in trouble. So logically, what is the conclusion? Such a power should be remembered in good times also. As it helps us through adversity, logically we conclude that this power should be worshipped. Obeisance should be given to this power during pleasant times as well. So it is option number 2. As an exercise, you can check 1, 3 and 4 and you will find that they may not be logically correct. Now the next one. Total forgiveness for a mistake committed generates a sense of complacency. What is complacency? Laziness. Total forgiveness for a mistake committed generates a sense of complacency. What does it mean? If a total mistake is pardoned or forgiven without any sort of punishment, what does it create? It creates a sense of complacency, means laziness towards target achievement among the employees. You run a company and you have assigned various tasks to the people, and a person doesn't achieve the task and you don't give him or mete him out any punishment. What is the message that the others will get? The message is that in this company, even if you don't achieve the target, you will be condoned, you will be pardoned, you will be forgiven. That will naturally make all the people complacent or lazy. Total forgiveness for a mistake committed generates a sense of complacency towards target achievement among the employees. Now look at option number 4, that is, it begins in C. Also, excess laxity. Laxity means laziness. Damages management credibility. Credibility means reliability, because for a long time the management has maintained that dysfunctional behavior will result in punishment, and when something goes wrong, it fails to take specific punitive action. What is the meaning? The company has already said that if a person doesn't work properly, he will be taken to task, he or she will be punished. And after that, if a company entirely pardons a wrongdoer, pardons a person for laxity or laziness, it will send a wrong message to the others. Now the second one, in such a situation, in which situation something goes wrong, in such a situation the work ethos gets distorted, it becomes shaken, and individuals get a feeling that they can get away with any lapse. In this situation of a company not meting out any punishment for any offense, or for not meeting deadlines, what will the workers think? The individuals will get a feeling that they can get away with, means escape. They can get away with any lapse. What follows is B. That is, the feeling that they develop is whether I produce results or not, the management will not punish me or does not have the guts to punish me. In this situation, what will be the thought developed by the individual? The individual thinks that the management is effete, the management is spineless, the management is toothless. The management cannot take a person to task for not meeting deadlines. So what is the result? That is D. The severity of the punishment, severeness of the punishment may be reduced. The author does not say that you should punish somebody severely for not meeting tasks. But what is said is, the punishment must be there. Even though not severe, it must be there. It may be reduced by modifying it, but some action must be taken against the guilty, so as to serve as a reminder for all others in the organization. And the continuation is, moreover, it means some action. That is the connection. Some action helps establish the management's image of being firm, fair, and yet human. If a wrongdoer is pardoned entirely, that will send a very wrong image. But if he is given some punishment and not a severe one, it will reinforce the feeling that the company is firm, but at the same time it is human. So you can check all the other options and you will find them improper. So your answer is option number 4. Dear students, I hope you have enjoyed the session. Thank you.